Brazilian public opinion on the right about when military intervention might be justified. And what these data show are, first of all, that Brazil is the fifth bar down, up toward the upper end of, I don't forget the slides. Anyway, Brazil is at the upper end of thinking that military intervention is justified in cases of corruption. And it is also, the support for military intervention in Brazil is growing over the years. And it's growing among the people from all parts of the political spectrum. So, for me to give an optimistic talk today, you might wonder what I've been smoking. And I assure you, I haven't anything. Does this mean I was wrong about Brazilian democracy in every talk that I've given to all of you here? And I'm going to, if I was, I wouldn't admit it right now, but I'm going to defend what I've said. And the main point that I want to make today, because our time is really short, is that I believe that the answer lies in what I want to call the paradox of success. When I use the term paradox of success, and maybe some political scientists here, the late great Argentine political scientist Guillermo O'Donnell used this term paradox of success in the late 1980s to contrast what he worried about in Brazil relative to Argentina. In Argentina, he was a native Argentine, the dictatorship was so bad that no one could possibly want to return to military rule, but Brazilians did remember it that way. In Brazil, the dictatorship wasn't all that bad. And so the paradox of success was that Brazil was more vulnerable to a democratic corruption. I'm using the term there. I want to suggest something very different here today. What I want to suggest is that Brazil's democracy has problems today because it's been so successful. The legacy of democracy, of 30 years of democracy, has been its success. And the successes of the past 30 years are generating what I think are growing pains that we're seeing today. Growing pains of democratic institutions, growing pains of democratic inclusion, and both those sets of growing pains have generated great policy challenges. So, quickly looking back over this legacy of 30 years of democracy, much has been accomplished. Carl Meacham just started mentioning some of the things that we see, the strength of electoral institutions. There are clean elections,